start off with match this weekend against York City Knights. They've obviously been on quite a good run recently. It's the last 6 in a row, I think, with one
Yep.
convincingly. So when you come up against a team on a good run like that, what's the kind of what's the plan? What's the approach to try and stop them?
Well, if I'm honest, it's all about us this week, and it has been since John left the club. And part of the things that we've looked at doing is making us the best versions of us we can be. We're well aware of the York's threats. They're a quality team, coached really well, by James Ford, and they've got threats all over the field. But if we look internally, we feel that similar to so, we've got threats all over the field. We think that we've got a good team. We've just got to get the best version of us out there on the field on Sunday. We'll be more than confident.
Wonderful. And then if we kind of look a little bit further forward, so you've got York this weekend, and then next 2 fixtures, I believe, are against Vikings and then Thunder, who are kind of right on your tail, if you like, in the league. So this little run of games, how important is that for your season in kind of the wider perspective?
Yeah, it's important for us. It's important for us as a group. We spoke about galvanising the group. We spoke about bringing the group together and getting some real unity. The best feeling in a rugby league team is when you're on a winning run. And if we can string 3 or 4 wins together, then it naturally gives us that enthusiasm and that impetus that we're looking for. But I'm not looking too far down the track either. It's just I'm taking session by session, not even game by game, and we're trying to implement changes. I've been sat in now for 2 weeks, and we've already implemented some, and there's some more that we want to get in there. So it's small steps and minor details that'll lead to big steps and big details, and that's the way we're looking at it. But what I will say is the players have been absolutely outstanding, really receptive of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to change. And as long as that continues, then I'm sure we'll be okay. Wonderful.
You say about changes, going into kind of it's not ideal coming in partway through. What was the first thing, if you like, that you wanted to start changing? What are those little changes that you've started to implement?
It was the energy levels of the group. We needed to raise the energy levels of the group pretty quickly. And there was naturally down when they saw John depart the club, and that happens when good people lose their jobs, and we all were. So it was about galvanising the group, and then it was about looking at minor details and how we can show them that the minor details actually create big details down the track, whether it be positive or negative. So we've homed in on it. We've got a little bit of a change in how we're going to play and what we're looking to play like. But what I won't do is I won't do James Ford's team talk for him, and I won't do his preparation for him. So if it's okay, we'll keep that to ourselves.
Absolutely. And then I've only got a couple of other things. So first, I saw this week that the chairman's come out and said it's going to be a really thorough recruitment process, and as you'd expect. He also said that you're you've got plenty of chance to stake your own claim for that. So is that what you're looking to try and do now? Is that your aim, and do you think you're the right person, kind of long term?
That's a question for Nigel, and a lot of that will be based on how the team perform and the way we perform as well. All I say is that Nigel's been very, very good, and he's been open and honest and transparent, which is all he can be. The players and the staff have been very respectful of me and receptive to the changes that we're trying to implement, and we're all working for the same cause. So, I've no doubt if Wayne Bennett emails Nigel, he'll be getting an interview and probably get the job as well. So, joking apart, it's got to be about the club and not about me. But equally so, if it was to be me that got the job on merit, then I'd be delighted as well.
Perfect. And then the last thing I've got is just kind of looking to the match this weekend. There were a couple of potential bans. I see Tom's been overturned. So how much is a boost of that?
It's a big boost. Yeah, Tom's critical, and he plays in a really important position for us, and he plays real big minutes, and he's very diligent in what he does as well. He's one that where the minor details are 99 times out of 100 right on point as well. So it brings a lot to us, does Tom, as does Ben Evans. I think Ben Evans has been particularly good the last couple of weeks, and we're disappointed to lose Ben for this week, but we saw an avenue to appeal the grading of Tom's. He wasn't not guilty of the charge, but the charge was that it was a dangerous throw, and we didn't feel that it was. So we got the grading changed as to what we thought it should be, which led to a warning instead of a ban, which we're absolutely delighted with.
Okay. Mark, you had the week off. How have you used that time?
Just to refocus, mate, just to really home in on some minor details, and really examine the fact that the outcome of them minor details then creates a bigger detail, and whether that's positive or negative, how that's been affecting us. So, we've stripped things back and we've gone deep into the reasons why, and it's been really, really fruitful as well.
When you look at that last performance against Whitehaven, I think, to quote yourself, Mark, you said for 55 minutes, it was almost perfect. Very difficult to maintain a performance for the full 80 minutes. Have you looked into the last 25 minutes and why you felt, that the side dropped off?
Yeah, I'm not sure I said almost perfect, because it's a word that we all strive for. But yeah, I was pleased with the first 55 minutes. I think that anybody that watched the game, especially those fantastic supporters that went all that way and travelled all that way, or those that have watched it on TV since, will see a difference in energy and application and enthusiasm, and they're the areas that we're looking at. The minor details that I keep talking about is when they're under pressure, the minor details aren't quite going right. What do we do? Do we go insular and within ourselves, or do we puff our chests out and put our shoulders back and continue to express ourselves? And that's what we've been trying to look at and trying to change over the last couple of weeks.
Obviously, that was your first game in charge. When I've spoken to John Kay previously, discipline has been a real bugbear of the team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I had it down as 4 penalties conceded against Whitehaven, the lowest total of the season to date. That is clearly a positive. Is that another sort of indicator of where you're going to bring your philosophy on this side, which of course is not giving opposition teams piggybacks?
Yeah, it's something we've talked about. We call them, and most people in the game call them, pressure releases. So we're working really, really hard and front loading our energy to put teams under pressure. But then we're coming up with a brain explosion and letting them off with a pressure release and a soft one at that as well. So we spoke about, again, it's a minor detail that are you a toe in front of the referee or are you toe behind? That big toe might just have a lasting effect and a big effect on the team. So they're the sorts of things that we've been looking at, Mick, and it's not going to be perfect after 2 weeks. We're under no illusions, it's a work in progress, but we've seen some progress, and I'm looking to see some more this week as well.
When we talk about you stamping your ideologies and philosophies on the team, Mark, obviously, are we going to see a continuation of what we saw in that first half against Whitehaven, against York this weekend?
I certainly hope so, Mick. Yeah, I certainly hope so. York bring different challenges to Whitehaven, and Whitehaven are a good solid Cumbrian team on home soil and bring different challenges. And again, York are going to come and they'll be well coached with James Ford. We all know, the James Ford teams normally come and express themselves. So we know what we're looking at. We've had a good look, and we'll continue to have a good look for the rest of the week. But again, it's about us being the best versions of us we can be, and if we can do that, then I'm pretty confident. We've shown already this year. We've competed well with Featherstone and Lee, and without them minor details being right. So if we can get the minor details right, then I'm confident that we've got some good players at this club and we'll compete with anybody.
James Ford mentions that his club's run of form is down to his side, basically out competing and out enthusiasing their opponents. What are you going to do to try and avoid that on Sunday?
I might just write that quote on the changing room wall, Mick, and let the players decide who's the most enthusiastic come game day.
Well, that's what he says in his pre-match press
Hey,
conference.
listen, that's fine. That's fine. And as coaches, we all aspire to have that team, don't we? Let's be honest. That team that's really competitive in every situation, good or bad, and work as hard as they can for each other. And I think in spells we've had that this year. I'm just trying to elongate them spells and bring the best out of us for longer periods and for longer games than 1 or 2 games and then 2 or 3 off.
It's no secret, Mark, Bradford have lost the 4 games at Odsal Stadium, just 1 win all year. How important is that home form, and how important is it that the side sort of arrest that home form and get that second win of the season?
2 parts to that question. The first part is the games that we've lost are not important, and that sounds really daft, but they're not important because they've gone. It's arresting, the future. It's the future that we're looking at. So what we've got is, we've got Ole Odsal, and we all know, what that means to us as a club, and it's not, it's not a DW Stadium or an Headingley, but it's ours, and it's what we've got. So I'm trying to create an environment where players are at ease. I'm trying to create an environment where players can play without fear, and players can go and express themselves. And I want them to do that at Odsal as well as on away trips. So, we've trained there a couple of times. We'll be training there again tonight and on Saturday, and just trying to get people, at ease in the environment. And once we've done that, and again, it might not, it might not be superbly accomplished by York this weekend, but I'm hoping it'll be better. And when we had the loud and proud Bradford Bulls fans behind us, hopefully they can get us home to a win on Sunday.
In terms of team news, Mark, obviously going into that game against Whitehaven, I think there was still 8 or 9 players missing: George Flanagan, Sam Scott, Chester Butler, Aaron Murphy, Brad England, Ryan Miller, Rhys Evans. Can we expect any of those faces back for the game on Sunday?
It's touch and go with a couple. There was a couple that was 50-50 at the last time out against Whitehaven. David Foggin Johnson's recovered from his illness, so he'll be available for selection this weekend with a game on Saturday and a game on Sunday. So he'll feature. Billy Jowett will feature for one of the teams this weekend, which is really, really positive, and it'll be great to see Billy back out there. George is working really hard and won't be far off. And there's a couple of others within there that they're really trying their best, and we've got some hopes I've seen.
In terms of the long-term injuries, is it fair to say that probably includes Sam Scott, Chester Butler, Aaron Murphy and Rhys Evans?
We're hoping Sam's going to be medium term. We've had some good news on Sam over the last week or so we're hoping that's going to be a medium term injury now instead of a long term injury. Aaron Murphy, Dan Fleming, Rhys Evans are the ones that stand out as longer term. But again, not as long term as we thought they would be. Particularly Dan Fleming and Aaron Murphy are again working really, really hard. Really committed to the cause and hungry to be back out there with the group. The group's galvanised a little bit, and there's a buzz about the group, and they can't wait to get back on the field, and they're working tremendously hard to do so. So fingers crossed, and with a bit of luck, we should see them hopefully in weeks rather than months.
There's a reserve game against Huddersfield on Saturday, Mark. Are you happy with how the reserve structure is for this year? I only ask that question to speak to a lot of players involved in the reserves, and they're very, very frustrated that if a game is called off, it's potentially a month, longer than a month, and they're having to wait to play again. As things currently stand, I think it's every 3 weeks there's a reserve grade. What are your thoughts on how the reserve grade is in 2022?
Yeah, it's better than the alternative, which we've had, which is no reserve grade. And I'm a massive fan of reserve grade rugby. I think there's a need for it, a necessity for it. I understand the powers that be that have the costing implications of trying to run a reserve grade, etc. I just think that if we're saying to young players at 18, 19, you've either made it to first grade or not, I think it's a bit short-sighted as a game, which is why I think there needs to be some sort of reserve grade. Does it need to be under 21s, under 23s, with players over age that can drop into that? I don't know, that's up for the game, but I understand some frustrations of some people, and at the moment they're playing every other week, but I'd rather them play every other week than not play at all.
And just finally, Mark, obviously there's been the news this week about IMG now working with Super League and the RFL. Obviously, in this initial statement, the restructuring and how the restructuring may look is pretty vague. But I guess kind of from a recruitment point of view for next year, I mean, a lot of people kind of do hear it could be going to 210s and you're going to have to be in the top 7 or 8 in the Championship to potentially get into Super League 2. I mean, what are you hearing, and how's the club's recruitment for next year looking? Obviously, because you're interim head coach, May the 1st has been, so obviously players can talk to other clubs now. I know it's a very lengthy question, Matt, but I'd be interested in an answer.
No, it's part of the job, and I've met 3 or 4 agents this week and a couple of players that wanted to discuss the future, and they've got every right to do so. Regarding the game and where it's going with the latest announcement, I'm not so sure, mate. I think the worst thing we can do as people within the game is speculate and add to rumours that get created. So I'm not going to do that. I've heard 210s, I've heard 212s, I've heard, you know, different things, and, you know, I'll just carry on doing the job the way we have planned to do it, until, you know, our chairman and owners say to us, you know, this is the way it's looking, and this has changed. So, you know, all we can do is look after Bradford Bulls at the moment in time, and we're doing our very best to do that. You know, we're speaking to the people that we've got within the organisation, and we're trying to sort some budgets out, and then we can, you know, we can look to retain, and then, you know, if we're looking to dip into the market of available players, then we can do that, you know. And as I said, I've had chats with a couple of agents and players already, you know, and liaising with Nigel, and we'll see where we go on that. But the game, as it, you know, as it is, it's speculation at this moment in time. Till the RFL tell us something that's you know, concrete, then I just think we've got to let the RFL and the powers that be do what they're doing, and then react to it once they've done it.